feel like that intro every week is different.
I know. I was just about to say that intro. It got me hype. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 5th, and me and Tom are back at it
Cinco
again.
de Mayo.
What's up, Tom?
I am.
Is it?
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. You going out tonight?
That's a really good question because I could definitely go for a mark tonight.
It is. Yeah, you should. I don't think I've celebrated Cinco de Mayo since I was.
That's the one thing I missed about being out at school. Cinco de Mayo on my campus is absolutely amazing because it's the last day of finals generally, so everyone's looking to let loose and it was so much fun. And I've been seeing Snapchat stories, and I'm like, damn, that's the one thing I miss.
You wish you were there. Yeah. I like when I was in South Carolina, they had St. Patty's Day was. I mean, I assume St. Patty's Day is crazy everywhere, but that because Cleveland has like a big parade, and I've been down there a couple times. But South Carolina, there's like all the bars there. Like it's called 5 Points. They all meet. You couldn't even move. And from the ages like 18 to 23 or 24, I was like, this is cool. I want to be all around all the people. And if I were you at your age, I'd be like, yes, you should go to those parties. But me right now, I'm like, you wouldn't find me within 75 miles of like a Cinco de Mayo party. I've just hopefully outgrown it. But so obviously the draft happened over the weekend. We talked a little bit about that on Monday. So today we're going to go through all the teams. We're going to give them our grades, kind of talk what picks we liked, what picks we didn't like. So we'll give grades, and then most likely next week we will come up with our first annual power rankings. I think we should probably do one maybe once a month in the summer, just have an episode for our power rankings, update it when we can. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the draft, but there is some other news today in sports history. I saw this one. In 1904, Cy Young pitches the first perfect game in the modern baseball era as the Boston Americans. God, I hate Boston so much. Beat the Philadelphia Athletics 3-0. And then where's the one I saw? In 1930, Australian cricket batting prodigy Don Bradman scores an unbeaten 185 in a tour match for Australia versus Leicestershire at Islestone Road, Leicester.
The return of cricket in our
I know
sports history.
I was so and the greatest part about it. It's like this prodigy. Like I really want to look him up. Like was he like 12 years old? Like. We should do that. We should really get into like who was the Michael Jordan of cricket? Who was the Dennis Rodman of cricket? Who blocked all those bats? No, but we love cricket and
big cricket guys. Fantasy cricket should be a thing.
Yeah. Still,
I'm still upset with Sleeper.
Yeah, I legit. You sent me that, and I legitimately took like 5, 10, 15 minutes. Like, okay. I signed up. This is my team. And it was like, yeah, this is only fantasy football. And I was like,
well, they do fantasy basketball too. They do fantasy basketball too. Yeah, I love Sleeper though. Sleeper's the best. That's why I was so upset. I'm like, no way did they have cricket as their next sport.
I know. I saw it. I got like weirdly angry. I was like, come on. Because I feel like if we did like fantasy cricket, like we would get into it. Like
100%.
We would get into it.
But we'd be watching cricket at 3 a.m.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll learn about cricket eventually. We'll learn about cricket eventually. You know, maybe we'll try and get a cricket guest on here. I'll send some emails out. See if we can get like the
world champion cricket man.
Yeah, I still got to think though. He's probably still just a little bit too popular for us in our podcast, considering. Cricket is probably one of the top 10 biggest sports in the world. I would think so.
All right. Top 10 biggest sports in the world.
I mean, you got soccer, and I would assume American football as well. Basketball.
Basketball's higher than American football for sure.
I would agree.
Most popular sports in the world. So according to worldatlas.com, it goes soccer, which is number 1 with 4 billion fans. Then cricket is number 2 with 2.5 billion fans, more than hockey, which is 2 billion fans. Tennis is $1 billion. Volleyball, $900 million. Table tennis, $875 million.
Dude, have you seen table tennis when they play each other?
Yeah, bro.
That's insane.
They went super saiyan. They're like, it's crazy. I love it.
It's unbelievable.
Basketball is number 7 on the list, though, which I'm very surprised at.
I'm not as surprised as I think I would have been. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think basketball is getting less popular right now, but I'm clearly wrong. So whatever. So some current events. Okay, so we didn't talk about the Super League very much on here, but obviously it was a big issue in Europe. And then on Sunday, Manchester United, my favorite team, was supposed to play their biggest rival, Liverpool. And Manchester United fans stormed the field before the match, and the game got canceled or postponed because of safety reasons. They basically stormed the pitch because they wanted the Glazers to sell the team. And it just made me realize that like European and other countries' fans are so much more hardcore than we are. Like, if somebody in like basketball or football or baseball wants an owner out, like they just kind of like openly, publicly say it. But in Europe, they're just like, fuck it. We're just going to storm the field, take the corner flag, take the goal. We're just going to take everything. And the Glazers still have not sold. Apparently, Jay Glazer, who is an NFL guy, was getting ridiculed online. And Ian Rappaport actually responded to him and was like, just sell the team. And I didn't know Glazer was like not related to the Glazers. But I thought it was funny because I thought Ian Rappaport was like kind of serious, and he was like, dude, just sell the team. But it all turned out to be a joke. But basically the Super League is not happening, which is good for soccer around the world. I mean, if you don't understand soccer, it's really hard to explain, but basically, I mean, the fans of these teams, I mean, one of our new writers, Michael House, Tom, so Schalke is a team in Germany. They're owned by an oil tycoon. They have a ton of money, and they should never get relegated, which means they dropped to the lower league. They got relegated, and after the game, their own fans attacked the team bus and the players.
Jesus. So what?
I don't agree with that's a little too far, but Schalke is like basically like it would be like the Boston Celtics getting relegated in the NBA. So that was bad. But more about the Super League. Basically, they've reached UEFA has reached a deal with 7 of the teams that were reported going to join the Super League: Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Tottenham Hotspur. So that's basically all the big 6 from England. They have reached an agreement, and they won't face punishment. However, the other 4 clubs, Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and AC Milan, they have stuck to their stance, and they want Super League. And so there's a big possibility that Real Madrid, Barcelona, and I can't remember who else I said. Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and AC Milan. AC Milan isn't on the same tier as those other 2, but it's very possible they could be suspended from the Champions League for like 2 years in the future, which is why I don't know why they're still holding out strong for this Super League. Like, especially Barcelona and Real Madrid. I mean, they make the Champions League every year. Their money is basically cash money, so it doesn't make sense. But so the Super League right now is down, and that's good. It's good.
Good for soccer.
It is. It's good. It's good for soccer around the world. Like it's really hard to explain. Like soccer fans, like there really are hooligans. But I mean, they like it's almost like if the Browns played like the Raiders, like 2,000 Browns fans would travel. Like that's just how they do it, because they take the buses and they take the trains in England, and they just go to different places, and it can get deadly. But it's a great sport. Love it.
Right.
And Chelsea and Real Madrid are actually tied right now at 0-0. And speaking of that Man United Liverpool game, it is rescheduled for May 13th, which is, I just learned that. That's cool. Awesome. I'm looking for any other news. You got any other news?
No, just I'm trying to get away from talking about Aaron Rodgers. because I'm just so sick of the whole situation.
It's so weird that we have an offseason with Deshaun Watson, which that who knows what's going to happen to that. I think he's probably just going to be suspended next year, so I don't think it really matters. But now we have Aaron Rodgers, and basically I think Green Bay is like not going to they won't trade him. And I don't and Rodgers is stubborn-headed enough that he actually just won't play. Like he'll go host Jeopardy, I think. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be one of three things that happen, I think. It's either going to be that they fire the GM, which I really just don't see happening, because while he is not Rodgers' favorite, like I pointed out on Monday, like he drove McCarthy out because he was rolling his eyes and stuff. Like there's going to be a line drawn. Apparently he was making fun of the guy in like group chats with his teammates. Like I think Rodgers' time is really just done, so I doubt that they're going to move the GM. But it is an option. They could end up trading him, or he's going to retire, just straight up retire. Like he's going to be done.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did that. But then again, I think he would come back in like 2 years and just be like, okay, I can play. Aaron Rodgers is kind of a dick, but I mean, the Packers have done nothing to help him. They've taken 9 defensive players in the last 10 drafts in the first round, and the only first rounder that wasn't a defensive player was a quarterback who, by the way, Jordan Love is in the worst position possible. Like, if they do trade Aaron Rodgers, like he has to be as good as Aaron Rodgers right away, or people are going to hate him.
He has to be as good as Aaron Rodgers was when in his first year of playing, I'll say.
I mean, he needs to be as good as Aaron Rodgers, and he's probably not going to be that good. Like I think that the Packers reached for a quarterback last year. Like it made no sense, but whatever. Yeah, my guys from Fleury are all talking about it. They want the GM fired. I think that's the feeling of most Packers fans, which is odd because I didn't think that. I didn't think Packers fans would take like Aaron Rodgers' side. But I think a lot of them have, which is surprising to me because Aaron Rodgers, like I said, he is kind of a dick. So
yeah, I can honestly understand it a little bit, but like to say that the Packers haven't done anything for him, like I understand they haven't taken offense in the first round, but Davante Adams, right? Where would you say he is in wide receivers in the NFL?
Davante Adams?
Yeah, where is he? Top 10, top 5, top 20?
I'd probably say top 5.
Top 5. And then Aaron Jones as a running back. Where would you put him as far as starting running backs in the league? Top 10?
10 to 12.
I personally have him at
10. I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are better than him.
I mean, probably, but we're saying started. And the fact
there we go. It's not a reach that he's a top 10. I could see that. It's not a reach.
Right. I put him at top 10 because I feel like he can be a 3-down back. They just don't ask him to. And when he does play well, he's like running for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he's just inconsistent. That's why I have him lower. But yeah, I'll give you even top 12, right? That's a top 12 running back and a top 5 receiver. What else does Aaron Rodgers need to succeed? They're trying to build up his defense.
I'm starting to sway my vote a little bit with you because, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, their defense has been sick. At least last year it was. I mean, they got probably once Jalen Ramsey gets over 30, Jair Alexander will be the best corner in the league. Mm-hmm. And I mean, their linebackers, I can't think of their names. It's not.
They lost Blake Martinez. Who was the other guy?
It was an edge rusher from Kentucky. I can't think of his name.
They have Rashawn Gary too, right?
Yeah. They have Rashawn Gary, but he plays linebacker, I think.
Let's see.
Zadarius. I'm thinking about Zadarius
Smith. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Smiths.
So, I mean, their defense is good.
It's good, and they understand the fact that they have Aaron Rodgers, who's Aaron Rodgers, as you said, a top 5 receiver and a top 12 running back. They say, okay, that should be enough for us to win games, so long as we have a good defense. So I was much more in the bandwagon and in the boat of siding with Rodgers, saying that they need to trade him and everything, until my dad read me those stats and he walked me through that, and I'm like, wow. he really doesn't need much more. Like, there's not much more that you could possibly really ask for if you're Aaron Rodgers, except a better defense to make it so you only have to score 25 a game instead of 40 to win.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers is just I can't think of the person. I guess like Isaiah Thomas in the NBA, where he would have won more rings, but he just played with in the same time as Jordan did. So it's the same thing with Brady and Rodgers. I think I think the Packers should have 2 Super Bowls with him.
Probably
2 Super Bowls should. Yeah, that should be it.
I will say the fact that LaFleur kicked his way out of the championship game this year really probably is what pissed Rodgers off the most, because he knew that wasn't the right call.
Well, apparently what pissed him off the most was when they cut his Division III
friend, or whatever his name is,
who was actually a beast in college. I saw him play twice. He was a beast. But that's so. I don't know if you've seen Jay Kumerow. That just looks like a guy that like Aaron Rodgers wants to hang out with. So I guess I understand that, but it's so there's such a thin line now, because the NFL can't turn into what the NBA has become, where players have complete control. And that's why I think football is more popular, because it's almost more of a 50-50 split kind of way. Whereas in basketball, LeBron James can say what he wants, when he wants, do what he wants, when he wants, and it'll get done.
Exactly.
So I think owners and general managers have to kind of, and I think I said this when we started talking about Deshaun Watson, like they kind of have to make a stand, be like, no, like, you just won't play then. And I think that's what they're going to do. Or I think that's what people in the future will do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, the fact that Aaron Rodgers is still throwing this hissy fit is really what I'm going to put it all up to. You have a top 5 receiver and arguably a top 10 running back as your offensive weapons. And yes, you have not as much depth at receiver, but you shouldn't need it if you have a top 5 guy, and then you have complementary guys who play well off of Devontae Adams' weaknesses in the deep ball with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and I forget the other guy. Who's their third receiver?
He has a weird last name.
Yeah, that's why I forget it.
Go ahead, keep talking. No, I'll look it up.
You have 2 guys to play the deep ball, and Devontae Adams gets everything else, and he can still catch the deep ball sometimes. And then a running back that should be able to provide you a good ground game to get the play action going. You should want them to build you up a good defense. Like I said, it's easier to win games when you have to score 25 to win instead of 40. So the Packers were doing everything to try and help him win. And they're just he's basically just slapping him back in the face saying, "Wham, I'm not getting enough."
Alan Lazard.
Yeah, he's a strict deep ball receiver.
Yeah, or Equanimous St. Brown, but I don't think he played much.
He is not going to play much.
Yeah, we're also at the time and point where we're like almost through the golden age of the quarterback, where I think in like 10 years, your roster goal, GM's roster goals will be to have a young in the next 10, in 10 years in the future, I don't think we'll see like 31, 32-year-olds winning Super Bowls, because they're always just going to go younger, because that's the best way to do it, is not have to pay your quarterback. But it really, I think, like I said, it comes down to the owners and the general manager have to take a stand. Like, they just can't let it become the NBA. And I understand that part, and I also understand why Aaron Rodgers, he's a weird dude, but I can understand why he'd be. I feel like he wants to go to a place where he runs his own offense, basically. So yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, we can get into the main topic now. Enough about Aaron Rodgers.
Looking nothing else. So okay. All right. So we're gonna start with our draft grades. We're just gonna go alphabetical order. And kind of just talk everything out. And then once we're done with all the picks, and let's try and keep it down to like 2 or 3 minutes, like each team.
We'll read off, give our 2 cents, and then the grade.
Yeah, so we're going to start with the Atlanta Falcons.
Arizona starts first.
Oh, Arizona starts first. Okay, so in the first round, they took Zaven Collins at number 16 overall. A for me was not a good pick. I thought they should have gone with one of the corners. But I'm happy they didn't. I think that was way too high to draft Zaven Collins, especially when I think partly also because he's on my team now too, but I think Owusu-Koramoah is way more versatile than him. They drafted Rondale Moore in the second round. I like Rondale Moore a lot. It'll just be interesting to see how his body holds up in the NFL.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie, we're going to come across some of these names that I have no idea who they are.
No idea who they are. Like the rest of the draft picks, I've never heard of, in all honesty.
I'll say them. I have heard of Marco Wilson. And I got to say, you're usually pretty good if you go from a corner from Florida. They're usually pretty good. I know Tay Gowan was supposed to go a little bit higher. So that was kind of a good pick. And then they drafted
Victor Dimukiji.
Well, I mean, everyone knows that's a bust already. He went to Duke. So Cincinnati safety James Wiggins and Penn State center Michael Manette. I always love when teams pick up a center in the draft, just because it's always a good thing to have a good amount of centers. If I was a team, if I was my own coach, I would want all 5 of my starting linemen, capable of play center.
Yeah, 100%, because they're usually the most versatile linemen on the team.
So obviously, basically this is just a day 1 and a day 2 grade from us because we don't know any of the other ones. The day 1, I like I said, that's a C for me. Zaven Collins, it was just too high for him. If they really, really wanted him, I think they could have traded back and got an extra 3rd round pick or something. I just thought it was too high. So I give that one a C. And then Rondale Moore, I'll give that a B+. Not an A because I have doubts about his durability in the NFL. And then, like I said, Florida, Marco Wilson, you usually can't go wrong with a Florida corner or an SEC corner most of the time. So I would probably give this draft. I would give this a B. I would give it a B, an overall B. No, it's so you tell me now.
Yeah, I also came up with a B. The Zaven Collins pick, while I think he's a good player and could excel in the NFL, like you said, it was just a little too high for me. Rondale Moore is going to be very interesting added into that offense.
It's also good for Kyler Murray. I was just going to bring it up because he's now not shorter than all of his receivers. He has one receiver that he's taller than.
Well, not even that. I like the fact that did Larry retire yet? Do we know if he's retired?
No, I think he's kind of playing. I think Larry Fitzgerald could play till he's 50. I think 100%. He might not be good. He's not. He's like Hines Ward. Just send him out there to block. He'll block.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that you're probably losing Larry, right? You have DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk is more of a slot kind of guy, but he can play the outside. I could see Christian Kirk developing into more of a short route to medium route guy like Larry Fitzgerald sort of was, but he still has the speed to go deep, which Larry doesn't have. And then you put Rondale Moore in the slot to be a very similar player to Kirk. It could end up really well. So just between those 2 picks, I gave him a B. I don't think it was an overly great draft, but I don't think it was terrible, so I give him a B.
Yeah, I think we kind of agree. I think we both just kind of agree that Rondale Moore could be big. Basically, what the Cardinals need to do is they need to keep drafting fast receivers that give them good matchups. So that means that DeAndre Hopkins isn't doubled all the time.
Right.
So I think they helped out with that because Rondale Moore can line up in the slot. He can line up in the backfield. Like I said, I like that. He did get injured twice at Purdue. Pretty big injuries, so it's going to be interesting to see if he lasts. But I hope he does. But overall, I agree. It's a B. It's just I like Zaven Collins. It was just too high for me. I think they could have traded back. I think they probably could have traded it back 5 to 10 spots, and they was still considering that Owusu-Koramoah didn't go off the board until the 2nd round. He probably could have. They might have been able to drop out of the 1st round and still get him. So
100%. 100%.
just so everyone knows, I'm keeping track of our grades.
Yep.
We'll have different grades, I'm sure, for different teams. But for our first one, we go with the B to the Cardinals, both of us. And, we will also go over this, I don't know, maybe next year after the season and
see how we did.
It'll already be erased. I'll take a picture of it though. So, all right.
Anyway,
so
move on to Atlanta. Atlanta's first 2 days of the draft, they reeled in Kyle Pitts from Florida, tight end, most hype player. Then they also landed Richie Grant, the safety from UCF, and also Jalen Mayfield, the guard out of Michigan, as their first 2 days. What do you think?
I thought Kyle Pitts was the best player in the draft. And I don't knock them for taking him over Penei Sewell like I will maybe some other teams down the line. I will not. Matt Ryan still has a capable arm, and he's not a dummy, really. So he's capable. And now that offense, is Julio Jones still there, right?
But I think they're going to have to trade him for cap purposes because I don't know if they'll be able to sign all of their rookies if they don't trade him. Yeah.
So, come my way, Julio. We have $2 million left? No, I don't know. But yeah, that offense becomes very scary with Pitts, Ridley, and Matt Ryan back there. So
Julio's still there for now. You never know.
Yeah, so I guess if we're gonna look at then that's like I said. Either way, if you have Julio's there or not, that's an A+ pick for me in the first round. Yep. Because, like I said, that he's the best player. I do like Richie Grant. I'm a little bit low on Central Florida defensive backs. We've had a couple come in over the past couple of years, and they either develop into slot corners really, or they can't really play on the outside. And that honestly cornerback for me is one of the positions where I want a guy that went to a good school, like a big time school and played big time opponents, in my opinion.
Right.
But he's good. I thought 40 is a little too high. I give that pick a B. And then I give the Jalen Mayfield a B+. I'm surprised he fell that way, but it always seems like everyone who takes a guard pretty early, they always end up being awesome. Quentin Nelson. That was a good pick, I thought. Good value at 68. Another center from Stanford, Drew Dahlman. Can't hate on that. And then Frank Darby, their last pick. He's really versatile, but he's super, super raw. But Arizona State is still pretty good. So overall for me, I give it an A-.
Yeah. Obviously, Kyle Pitts was top guy on my board as well, so that's an absolute steal. They got him at 4. Richie Grant should be able to step right in at the starting role at safety, so that was a really good pick for them just based on need. Because
didn't Keanu Neal leave them?
That's what I was just going to – I think Keanu Neal went to the Cowboys or something.
Yes, he went to the Cowboys, or I want to say the Bengals maybe, but yeah, keep going.
One of the two. But he fills in a need, and they got good value for him at 40. Jalen Mayfield should slide right into guard as well, and he is projected to be a really solid guard for the next couple of years. Another pick that I really liked and kind of a sneaky pick was number 148, Traequan Graham, the defensive lineman out of Texas. I was doing the Big 12 for the best of whatever that Ryan had assigned us for, and when I was looking into Traequan Graham, I think his name is pronounced. He's a really solid player that could develop into a stud as a defensive tackle. I don't know if they're going to move him to D end or keep him inside, but if he can find a way to get his swim move down, he could develop into a really solid player, and I like him in that defense. So I actually gave them an A+ for their draft, just in the sense they landed the best player with the 4 pick, and you got 2 starters and some projects. I give him an A+.
I will change mine from A- to a plain A. Like I said, I still think Grant's a little too high. Like I said, great value for Mayfield, and Pitts was the best player. So I'll give it an A. Like I said, I just have my doubts about small school defensive backs.
As you should. I understand the pick. Because Moehrig gone by then?
Who? Moehrig? I don't know. When did he go? Who did he go to?
Look, he went Oh, he went to the Raiders a couple. They passed on Morig for Grant. That kind of. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an A. But
yeah, I'm still gonna give it an A+. They went with their guy. If they had a problem with Morig, then they had a problem with him. I'm gonna keep my A+.
Those the Falcons.
Yep, the Falcons.
A.
And then we move on to Baltimore. And they had a really solid draft, and I know you're not going to like it, but
no, we already talked about it.
We did.
Wait, Baltimore, or you say Buffalo?
Baltimore.
Yeah, okay, they are next. You're right. Okay,
yeah. So obviously, round 1, they got Rashad Bateman with their first pick, wide receiver out of Minnesota. Then they got Penn State outside linebacker Oda Fadeaway. I think his name is Oda Fadeaway.
Yeah.
I'm horrible at pronouncing it.
Yeah. His name used to be Jason Owa.
Well, that's his middle name, but now he wants to go by his full name. He wants to go by that, yeah. Oda Fadeaway, yeah. Then they have Ben Cleveland, guard out of Georgia. SMU cornerback Brandon Stevens. Oklahoma State wide receiver Tylan Wallace. Shaun Wade fell to them in the 5th round at 160, a cornerback from Ohio State. Then they landed a outside linebacker from Notre Dame by the name of Dalen Hayes and Michigan tight end Ben Mason.
All right. So I will say I think Ben Mason in the 7th round is a huge pickup, or 6th, 7th round. He played like a fullback kind of at Michigan. And I think they'll use him in the same kind of like a utility fullback. I think they'll use him kind of in that way. So I like that pick. Rashad Bateman wasn't my best receiver available right there. I would have gone with Terrace Marshall, but I understand that. I mean, Bateman is the perfect receiver. I mean, he's literally molded to be Lamar Jackson's receiver. Big, tall, will catch most things. Not as fast as DK Metcalf or anything, but he's a possession receiver. I wouldn't have touched Owa in the 1st round. I think I've told you, Owa had no sacks this year.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to overlook that and like be like, oh, well, it was a weird year. If you're a defensive end or an edge rusher and you don't have a sack in 1 year, what are you doing? Like, so he's a good, I hope a good prospect, but 31 in the 1st round was too early for me. I love Tylan Wallace. He was very underused at Oklahoma State. Thanks, Mike Gundy. Shaun Wade. Shaun Wade is an interesting story because if he would have came out last year, he would have been a 1st round pick. And now he dropped to the 6th round. I think that's a good pickup that late. I don't have very many, I don't think he's going to be that good. I think he'll kind of be a little bit like Gary and Conley and the other 2nd tier Buckeye corners and defensive backs. So that, but yeah, for what was there on the board for them, I give it a B+. Like I said, it's a B+ with the opportunity to turn with it could eventually be an A+. Like if Rashad Bateman is a hit and Owa is a hit, I mean, that changes everything. I just had my reservations about Owa, and like I said, Bateman was a great pick for them, but he's not my favorite receiver, so I go B+.
Right. I love the fact that Bateman is not the typical receiver for the Ravens right now because he's going to play so well off of Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead that he's going to slot right into that starting lineup immediately. Fun fact about Owa. Owa actually is from New Jersey. He played at Blair Academy, and I actually got to watch him play when I was going to one of my buddies' football games. And that dude is an absolute animal. I mean, he had at least 4 or 5 sacks on the game, and I understand he didn't have them. So yeah, he's still a question mark. Tylan Wallace was another guy that I looked into when I was doing my Big 12 review. He was actually projected to go to the Jets in the 2nd, and they got him in the 4th and kind of late 4th potential. So he shows a lot of potential to slot in as well. Could take over for Willie Snead. And then obviously Shaun Wade, who knows what he's going to end up being. So
yeah, I mean, Wade is literally you put your hand in a bag and you just pick something random out and it's going to be him. He could end up being better than Jeff Okudah was, which isn't that hard because he sucked last year. So that's the lowest for Ohio State cornerback. It's usually when they come out, they're pretty good. I know like Florida and all the other places want to claim DBU. If you look at the last 10 years, DBU is Ohio State. But after Okudah failed, I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would think it was LSU still, though, even after the last 10 years. I could be wrong. Who knows? I
would say
it's between those two.
LSU is DBU. I would say Ohio State C cornerback U.
Okay.
I mean, because they put out Delpit. I mean, they put out
Delpit, Adams, Matthew.
I'm not even going to get into it because LSU should have won like 5 national championships in the last 12 years, but they didn't. It's incredible.
But with all those things said and done, I'm going to give them an A. I really love what Baltimore did with their draft. They drafted starters for at least a couple of positions in my book, so I'm giving them an A.
All right. Let's see who's next.
Next up is Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, you really like their draft. You can start.
Okay. I didn't love their draft. Let me put that out there now. All right, so in round 1, they took Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. Biggest question mark entering into draft night, where he was going to go.
Biggest first-round draft question, I think.
Well, I just question mark going into it of where he was going to go because people had him slipping into the 3rd round on some boards.
Yeah.
There was a lot of swing.
I don't think he was ever going to fall that low.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Jalen Phillips was there, so I can't really hate on him for taking the other Miami defensive end. But
right.
Go ahead.
Then with the 2nd round pick, they drafted Carlos Basham Jr. out of Wake Forest, who I absolutely love. I think he's going to fit in really well with that system and slot right into the defense. Those two guys are picks for the future because Buffalo's draft class this year was basically replacements for Jerry Hughes, Star Luatelli, and the like, who are on the older sides of the players on their team. I'm going to pull up their defensive line real quick. Bills.
Yeah, like I said, Rousseau, from what I understand, he just came in. He was kind of out of shape. But that's still not a bad pick. I also love the Basham pick. People don't know, but had the combine been this year, Basham would have been a 1st-round pick.
He would be like the DK Metcalf of this year's draft class. Like he would have shined in the combine and just be like shown off everything he had. Mario Addison was the other guy I was thinking. Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison are each 33 years old.
Yeah. So, I would, depending on how Buffalo's season goes, I would say that they'll probably start with Jerry Hughes and then Addison and rotate these guys in. But I would think that the only way not the only way, but this will show up as a good draft if by the end of the year Rousseau and Basham are starting on the ends, which they should be versus 33-year-olds.
The other thing they have to remember, though, is with their first pick last year in the 2nd round, because that was their first pick, they traded their first. They took A.J. Epineza out of Iowa, who's also playing defensive end. I could see him transitioning to more of an edge rusher kind of guy, or they'll have Rousseau or Basham play inside to replace Luatelli. But I agree.
There's no way Basham can play inside.
Then Rousseau, because he gained weight.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying I've seen Carlos Basham.
Yeah, no, he's a slim dude. Like he will.
He's Brandon Ingram, basically.
Yeah.
So this in the 3rd round they drafted Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa. I looked over some of his tape from last year. Northern Iowa is a pretty good FCS school, and they do produce good offensive linemen. He's a big boy. He's going to be a mauler, but I don't know if he once again, he didn't play against toughest competition. He did play against the toughest competition in the FCS, but not the toughest competition.
Mm-hmm.
And B, he's not as agile as I would like a tackle to be. He's more of like a power guy. But we saw Mekhi Becton come in as a power guy and be really good. So I like that pick for them, and I also like Tommy Doyle. He's going to be a project, I would assume. Miami's been historically really, really bad, but in the past couple of years they've gotten pretty good. And then I have to just give this pick an A+ as well. Wisconsin cornerback Rashad Wildgoose. That's just
great
the
name.
fact that the fact that he didn't go to Green Bay, like that just sounds like a Green Bay name. But that's why I guess he went to Wisconsin, so that makes sense. But yeah, I think Basham will definitely end up being a good pick. We'll see with Rousseau, but like I said, pretty good draft. More people that I really don't know, and hopefully we'll find out about. But I'll stick with the NFL.com. I'll give them an A-. I really think they should have looked for a tight end.
If they traded up in the second round for Freiermuth instead of letting the Steelers snab him, they would get an A+ from me. But just because of the fact they now have an overabundance of defensive ends, I'm going to give it a B+. But this could easily go up to an A, like you said, if they're starting at the end of the season.
Correctamundo. All right, who's next? I just want to get to the Browns. All right, so the Panthers. Wow. So I'm going to come out right and say it. Their first two picks were two of my favorite players in the draft. So
yeah, I can already tell you now they're going to get one of the highest grades and the highest talks from me as we do this. Like this draft class was filthy.
Yeah. There are names I don't know. First of all, drafting a long snapper out of Alabama, that guy is going to make the Hall of Fame as a long snapper probably. I'm not kidding. He went to Alabama, so he's got to be really good.
He's got to be the best long snapper in the game if he got drafted.
Actually, there were two long snappers in the draft. It was this Alabama guy, and Michigan had a guy too.
Hall of Fame buddies.
No, not the Michigan guy. He sucks. Shi Smith from South Carolina didn't really shine in South Carolina. It really wasn't his fault. They haven't had a good quarterback in a long time. But he's a good pick. I like him. Keith Taylor was my second favorite Washington corner or defensive back. I obviously like Elijah Molden, and whoever took him got an A+. And they got first of all their first two picks, J.C. Horn. I'm going to say it. I love J.C. Horn. That's a little high for me. I don't know if I would have got him at 8, but if they had him graded out as the best defensive back, that's what they did. That's fine. Then Terrace Marshall, getting him in the second round. I think Terrace Marshall is going to be he's Anquan Bolden kind of, Des Bryant kind of, but still really raw. But hopefully with Matt Rule as the offensive as the coach there, and he's running the offense, hopefully they'll find a way to use him. And then Brady Christensen is basically the reason Zach Wilson wasn't on his ass the entire year. That's a great pick as well. I give this one an A+. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving him an A+ as well. I mean, J.C. Horn, like you said, I think he was my favorite corner in the draft as well. A little questionable as to why they didn't get a tackle like Rashawn Slater, who was still available. But if they truly believe that secondary was a bigger need than tackle, and they ended up addressing it with Christensen, who I also really like. I've watched a little bit of what he has, and he should be good. Marshall fits exactly what the Panthers needed in their wide receiver room. They are now running Marshall in the slot, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore.
Yeah, and that's who I was thinking of. Marshall reminds me a lot of Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, and if you look back at when Sam Darnold had his best season was when he had Robbie Anderson, and they were connecting all over the place, going for 100-yard games together. So getting a second Robbie Anderson, I mean,
all right,
lovely.
Pause. Are you ever just going to get over Sam Darnold, or are you just going to keep talking about him?
I'm just pointing out. I'm just pointing it out. And the fact that he got a second one is going to really help Sam Darnold, especially if he gets that chemistry back like he does with Anderson, and then gets it with Marshall as well. And then I actually really liked the pick of Tommy Tremble out of Notre Dame, the tight end. I think he's going to start right away because Ian Thomas has proven that he cannot be a receiving tight end in the NFL. And then we didn't even bring up Chuba Hubbard.
I said Chuba Hubbard.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear.
Yeah, I just said it. I said it real quick.
I mean,
like I said, he's going to be really good for like 4 or 5 years, and then I mean they ran him so much at Oklahoma State, so.
Yeah, but having a backfield of Hubbard and CMC, I mean, that's just unfair. So yeah, A+ for me as well.
I just figured out a new thing. I have the ability to mute you. Yes. So I'm gonna do that when you make bad points. That's good. It's gonna be like around the horn. No, not around the horn. Pardon the interruption. No, pardon the interruption where Max could pause him.
Oh.
Yeah, no, but I think we both, A+. A+. Panthers did a great job. With really, they weren't handed like I said, Jason Horn's a little early for me at 8, but they didn't need to take a wide receiver that early, and even at that point, all you could have gone with was Devonta Smith. So, and I think Terrace Marshall will have a better career than Devonta Smith. So yeah, A+, and it's also just an A+ considering they added 12 players. So, that's a lot.
Wow, they did add 12 players. Look at that.
Yes, I did. I didn't
even realize. I just didn't even realize. Like, Jesus. Anyway, we can move on to a team with a much shorter list. Chicago.
Chicago really, how you grade this graph really, I'm just going to say it. I think it's an A because I think Justin Fields and Tevin Jenkins were great picks. And I also really like Khalil Herbert and Daz Newsome. So it's an A for me. But it's really just an A because they got Tevin Jenkins in the second round, who I thought should have been a first-round player. And they traded up for Justin Fields, who I think is the second best quarterback in the draft. And someone said this on one of the shows. If Rodgers does leave the Packers, Justin Fields is probably the best quarterback in the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was also going to give him an A. I had Tevin Jenkins in my upper 20s of potentially being picked. He ended up falling to almost 40. I felt like the trade up for Fields was a little bit much for the pick, but again, we've talked about it so many times on here. If you see a guy that you really want and you're going to trade up to go and get him, like, I don't have a problem with it if he's your guy. So I love the picks, like you said, A, and then the rest of their draft, I think, could potentially slot in as well. I don't know enough about Herbert or Newsome, but I'm going to take your word for it. So I'm going in A as well.
Yeah, Herbert's he's skinny, so it'll be interesting to see. But he's a lot like Chase Edmonds and who's that Bears small running back?
Cohen?
Yeah, Tariq Cohen. He's like those guys.
Right.
So on to the Bengals, and this might be my first bad
negative grade. Yeah, me too.
All right, so Cincinnati in the first round had the 5th pick, and they took Jamar Chase, which it's not the worst thing they could do. I understand that they wanted to pair Joe Burrow back up with his college buddy. I get that, but you also it won't matter if defensive ends are getting right by and hurting Joe Burrow again. So they should have gone with Penei Sewell. And that, like I said, I like Jamar Chase. He was clearly the best receiver in this class. But for me, that's a C because you could have protected your quarterback by now having 2 good tackles for the rest of the future. And they drafted Jackson Carman in the second round. That was a reach for them.
Yeah,
he was not a second round. He should not have been a second round tackle. I saw him play at Clemson. I'm sure a lot of people did. But he's from Ohio. He came out of one of the small middle of Ohio schools. He's kind of a douche. But I do like Joseph Asai. I think that's a good pick.
That was a great pick.
I like Tyler Shelvin. And Chris Evans actually is good value late from Michigan. That's not that bad of value late. They also get a knock for me for taking the kicker.
The kicker, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a great idea when the Browns took the dude from Oklahoma in the same draft as Baker, and I was like, yes. And there's just no need to take a kicker anymore in the draft. Like, you don't need to take specialists or kickers. So.
Yeah. Well, and the biggest knock from me, like I said, I like the Chase pick, and if you were going to go with it, great, but you got to invest in the line next pick. Carman, you're right. It was a reach, especially when you look at who was taken after him. Aaron Banks from Notre Dame, I felt was like a little bit of a reach, but I could justify it a little bit. But the fact that
Notre Dame,
yeah,
Notre Dame like pisses out great offensive linemen.
Exactly, but the fact that you passed on Banks and the fact that you passed out on Samuel Cosme and Dylan Redunce, who were the next two guys taken off the board. The fact Cosme is an absolute unit. I mean, no one's getting past him. So I disagree with the Carman pick. I love Osai, like you said. I'm giving him a C-. I love the Chase pick, and that's the only thing that's keeping him out of an F. And the Osai pick. I guess I actually should move it up. I don't care. I'm sticking with a C-. You should have passed on Chase, taken Sewell, and then gotten a receiver with your second round pick and went about the draft as normal.
Yeah, I mean, they made some good picks, but
you could have got Rondale Moore, who would have slid in fine with Boyd and Higgins. He would have played just as well off him, but they went the other way.
Yeah, so I gave him a C+, C-. But yeah, I mean, that's my worst grade overall too. So, I mean, like I said, don't take kicker. Just don't take a kicker. Like, especially not in the what was that? The 5th round?
Yeah. What number was it?
149.
149.
Yeah.
That was the 5th round.
Okay, and all right, we're up to
Cleveland.
Possibly the best draft in the world. Okay.
I mean, this is an A++. We've talked about it so much.
No, I wanted to talk about you. You're going to want to talk about the Jets, so we can talk about the Browns. No, I'll go quickly through it. Newsome wasn't my favorite corner. Like I said, Horn was my favorite, and Surtain I would have taken over him. But I actually ended up watching a lot of his highlights and tapes from in college. He is going to be asked to do the same thing he did in college for the Browns, which makes the transition a lot easier. And he had a really good year. And Northwestern's entire defensive backfield was really, really good last year. So that I thought him fall. It had any of the four. I would have had a little bit of trouble with Farley because I just didn't want anybody injured. But if any of those guys had fallen on the Browns, I took them. That's an A grade for me. And then you go in the second round. I still don't know. I mean, he is undersized and he doesn't really have a defined role, but his defined role is athlete. And they got Owusu Koramoah. Barry made a great move, trading back up in the second round, losing 1 third-round pick, but also gaining a 4th round pick. So that was good. Anthony Schwartz, fastest player in the draft. He hopefully is Mecole Hardman. I'm hoping that's his floor, and I'm hoping his ceiling is Tyreek Hill. Hudson, that's just a depth pick. Like I said, they're going to have to look at Jack Conklin's contract at some point. Tommy Togiai had a great year at Ohio State, probably one of the better defenders on the team. Unfortunately, I wish this was Haskell Garrett, but it's not. Haskell Garrett's a beast. He got shot through the mouth and lived. Tony Fields, I don't know much about him. I also know he is really small as well. So it seems like the Browns are just going to get guys that can play in space. And Richard LeCounte in the 6th round for me, perfectly fine with that. People forget that before this year, Richard LeCounte was a top 10 high school prospect, and B, a 1st-round prospect coming into this year. So he had a terrible pro day, a terrible 40, had a terrible season at Georgia, got into an accident. But in the 6th round, nothing to lose there. And then 7th round, Demetric Felton. I don't know much about him other than I think they said he's really athletic. So they get an A+ for me.
Yeah, it's an A++. Like,
you know what? I got to take it down to an A. Only because they kind of addressed it in different ways, but they didn't address the defensive end position. I think they should have taken defensive end somewhere, because once you get behind Garrett, Clowney, and Takaris McKinley, you're pretty thin. I think they have Porter Gustin still. But, I would have liked to see him maybe instead of Hudson. I would like to the edge rusher. So I'll stick to an A.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the A+ grade. I mean, I just – the fact that you got 3 guys who were top 2 rounds and 2 guys that I felt should have been in the first round. I mean, that automatically gives you an A. So I'm giving them an A+. No, not you. You said most of what there was to say, so I have nothing to add.
All right. So who is next?
Dallas.
All right. You can lead us into this one. Yeah, we're just gonna go over the big names.
Yeah. So
Parsons,
they got Mike. Yeah.
Go ahead. You got it.
I was gonna say Parsons at 12 after trading down was a steal.
I tend to agree with you. I just hope it's true, because he has off-field issues, and I just don't like. He's not athletic enough to be the next Luke Kuechly, but he's like too big to cover. I like the pick as well. I'm just interested to see where he ends up playing, because I would be shocked if he plays anywhere on the outside this year.
That's fair. I could see that. Then they took Kelvin Joseph in the second round, cornerback from Kentucky. Secondary was a need. I felt like they addressed it. Joseph should play well with Diggs on the other side.
Was Elijah Molden still on the board?
Where are the Cowboys? Where did Molden go?
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I feel like Molden went in the third round.
He was in the third round of the Titans. So I could have got him instead.
And
so I knocked
round,
that.
They could have had him twice.
So I got to knock that. That's me, but that's just because
sure.
I love Elijah Molden. The other guy I think in here, two really. Sami Fehoko. I don't know how to say it. Is it Fehoko? I don't know. He, from what I understand, he's a pretty strong, big wide receiver, kind of a typical of what Stanford puts out. And LSU linebacker Jabril Cox, number 115, is also a steal. He transferred to LSU this year. He picked off 3 passes as a linebacker in a shortened season. He's really athletic, and it would surprise me if he's not at least in the starting rotation in the outside linebackers for the Cowboys to start the season. And Jabril Cox also, people forget, where did he go before he went to LSU?
I don't know. I forget.
No, North Dakota State.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Huh. I love the Jabril Cox pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's very versatile. Like I said, for a linebacker to pick off 3 passes this year, even if he was just like a cover linebacker, that's impressive.
Yeah, and especially in the shortened season.
Yeah, so so I'll give them an A. No, I'll give them a B. I'll give them a B. Like I said, it's interesting to see where Parsons does, and like I said, Kelvin Joseph. There were other better names on the draft board than him. So
I felt like a bunch of their mid-round guys, like anyone after Kelvin Joseph, but before Jabril Cox, was sort of a reach.
Yeah, I agree.
I definitely like the fact that they put a priority on defensive players, but I'm going to give them a minus because I like the Parsons pick, I like the Joseph pick, and I think Cox is a steal. So for that, I'll give them an A- on that.
All right.
So next we have Denver, and their big names that they picked up. They picked up Surtain at 9. A bit of a surprise that they didn't go quarterback, in my opinion, but the fact they just traded for Bridgewater, I sort of understand. Then they took they traded up for Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. And then in the third round, after picking up a guard from Wisconsin Whitewater, and Quinn Miners, I don't know his name, they picked up Baron Browning, the linebacker from Ohio State. And then am I missing any big names?
Ohio State defensive Johnny Cooper. He will be a special teams player, or maybe a rotation guy. Indiana safety Jamar Johnson had some of the best ball production out of any defensive back this year. This was his first year starting, and I believe he intercepted 7 passes.
That's true. I forgot about Indiana's dream season this year,
which ended up sucking, but let's not get into that. Baron Browning is a good pick. I like him. Just another guy, kind of like Owusu Koromoa and David Collins. It just depends on where they're going to play him. He's not the best in coverage, but
he could be a good end, but he's a little small to be an end. Overall, I give them a B.
I go with a C+. I really don't like Javonte Williams that early.
Oh.
And I just don't know where Baron Browning is going to play. And I don't know the Miners guy. Wisconsin Whitewater is a good school. But once again, Javonte Williams, I don't know why this was another year where GMs and head coaches thought they had to draft running backs in the top 40 picks. Like,
I was a big fan of Hubbard, and he went late, and Sermon went in the third round too. But I really liked Williams, and to a certain extent, I liked Carter. I liked the value, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, I agree. Put me down as a B-. I kind of forgot that Browning, you don't know where you're going to play him, and that's a very valid point. Especially with the stacked linebacking core that they currently hold.
Yeah. All right.
So
and
next up,
Patrick Surtain is a good pick.
Yeah, it was a great pick. He's going to slot right in, and now they have 3 solid corners. Next up is Detroit. They were probably one of the biggest beneficiaries of how the first 5 or 6 picks went out, and they landed Sewell at 7. They got that cornerback from Syracuse that you liked, Ifitu Melifondu.
They also got Levi Owusu-Worky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. I mean, they had a really solid draft.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A. Penei Sewell, they got lucky, but they made the right decision. He's going to be hopefully a cornerstone tackle for the next 15 years. Levi Owusu-Worky was on the Browns' radar as defensive tackle. He's pretty big, so I guess that's a good pick. I don't know Alim McNeil.
Neither do I.
This Ifiatu Melanfou, I think that's how you say his name. That's a good pick as well. He is also just kind of an experiment, though. Like, they don't really know if they're going to slot him at safety, I wouldn't think. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown is a good pickup for me. He just had an underwhelming career at USC because the past couple of years USC has been
awful. Yeah,
not awful or just inconsistent, really. So
true.
But I like Penei Sewell. It's good enough for B+ for me.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the B+ as well. I don't know enough about Owusu-Worky personally. I just haven't watched tape on him. I've heard things, but I like to make my own analysis. So I'm giving him a B+ as well.
All right. Who's next?
We have Green Bay. Yeah, we're running. There are a lot of teams left.
Yeah, we're going to do probably 2 or 3 more, and then we'll just finish up next week.
Yeah.
We'll do Green Bay, Houston, and then we'll do the Jets. That's you then. Yeah, then we'll do Green Bay, Houston, and the Jets.
All right.
Cool?
I mean, we could also probably get down to Jacksonville and Indy, because Houston's going to be quick, and I think that Green Bay should also be relatively quick.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep going for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Green Bay, they got Stokes at 29. They got Ohio State center.
Reach. He wasn't even their best corner.
Yeah, he wasn't their best corner on the board. I agree. Ohio State center Josh Meyer at 62. They got Amari Rodgers from Clemson, the wide receiver. I really like that pick. And then the rest of the draft, I just don't know enough about from them.
So Corey Linsley left, so that explains why they had to take a center, I guess. That's too early for me. Josh Myers had a good career at Ohio State, but, I mean, you probably could have picked him in the 3rd or 4th round.
Probably.
So, Amari Rodgers should be good.
I like him.
Then again, who knows who's going to be throwing him the ball. And, yeah, other than that, I got to say, other than Amari Rodgers, I really don't like any of these picks. Eric Stokes wasn't even the best corner on his own team. Too early for Myers. Rodgers, nice pickup in the 3rd round. And like I said, I don't know I see a Wisconsin guard. That's good then. I assume he's good. And I don't know who Kylan Hill is. They get a B- for me. I just don't like that Stokes pick, especially with so many. I mean, Morig was so many good defensive backs still there, and
yeah,
I don't like that C-.
Yeah, I'm giving him a C, maybe a C+ if you want to swing that Stokes could be okay. I would have even taken Asante Samuel over him though. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm going with a C.
Pack.
Javon Holland, defensive average. Yeah, I'm going to C.
All right.
So then we move on to Houston. They had 5 picks total. The only one that there are only 2 worth mentioning. With their first pick at 67, they took Stanford quarterback Davis Mills. I think that's pretty telling about the Deshaun Watson situation, in my opinion, but we were told not to look into it as fans. Then at 147,
you forget that Davis Mills came into college as the number 1 ranked quarterback.
That's true.
No, he sucks. Keep going.
And then the only other pick that I feel is worth mentioning is Breven Jordan at 147, tight end from Miami. They're building a tight end room there down in Houston. But I hated everything about their draft, and they're going to get a D- from me. And it's hard to put together a good draft just simply because they didn't have picks in the first round, or I think even the second round. Maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah. Mills is whatever, kind of just whatever. Yeah. Nico Collins, that's way too high at 89. He didn't even really have that productive of a career at Michigan. I do like Breven Jordan a lot. So they get a solid. They get a D basically just because of that. Yeah, because I can't believe there had to be better receivers on the board than Nico Collins.
Collins went one number, 89.
Yeah.
And Anthony Schwartz was taken 2 picks later by the Browns. So that should say enough.
So I gave it a D. You gave it a D+, or D-.
I gave it a D- because I don't like Mills, and literally the only thing I like about that draft is Jordan.
Okay.
Indianapolis landed Kwity Paye at 21. They got Deo Odeyingbo at 54.
Deo Odeyingbo.
I love that. And then the late round pick that they got, Sam Ehlinger, quarterback out of Texas. I could see him being kind of a Taysom Hill type player, but also developing into a decent quarterback, like a backup quarterback. Because I really don't like Eason, who they took last year with their second round pick. You got to
remember though, there's the Colts don't have a starting quarterback on their roster.
That's right. How could I forget?
Yeah, I mean Carson Wentz. I mean he signed with them to be the second string quarterback, right?
Yeah, they're gonna give Jacob Eason the chance, and then they're gonna go with him.
I would rather. I'm looking outside right now. There's a tree right there. I'd rather have a tree than
Than Carson Wentz. Yeah, I got you.
Yes,
I know your feelings. You don't need
the
to.
Tree. Honestly, the tree probably moves quicker and everything like that because at least it moves with the wind.
That's a fair enough point.
No, but I'm looking at this.
I love Kwity Paye.
Kwity Paye at 21 was a
steal.
Who picked? Was it who? Oh yeah, it was the Giants who picked at 20 and took Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney.
I like I said, I love Kwity Paye. That fell to them. That's awesome. Sam Ehlinger's. They just get a B for me. I mean, they only had 7 picks, but they got incredible value in Kwity Paye and Ehlinger. He could end up starting.
He could potentially. I really like Ehlinger. I've been on him for a little bit. I'm not going to say that he's going to start within the next 3 years, but he could develop into a solid guy who they can kind of run an offense around. So I'm giving him a B+ because I like Deo Odeyingbo.
You don't even know who that is.
I just like saying his name.
All right, who's next? Jacksonville. Okay.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence.
So, You would okay, yeah. Trevor Lawrence gets an A. Travis Etienne gets a C minus. That's a terrible pick.
It's a horrible pick. You have a guy who accounted for 1,400 yards for your offense.
Oh yeah,
you're like, hey, we need a running back.
Yeah,
that's so stupid.
Your little friend, whatever his name is,
J-Rob.
Yeah, James Robinson. Tyson Campbell, great pick. He was the best corner. He was the best cornerback on Georgia. Walker Little is also a good pick, as is Andre Sisco. Luke Farrell will be mostly a blocking tight end. And then I don't know this Georgia Tech wide receiver, but when I see Georgia Tech wide receiver, I just think of Calvin Johnson. So
at 209, Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
I'm giving it an A+. It's hard to give him anything else when they got Trevor Lawrence and Campbell and Little.
I'll give him an A.
Yeah, makes sense. Etienne should be a solid player later on. I just don't get the pick. Kansas City is next. They had a pretty good draft for what they had. Obviously, their first round pick they used to get Orlando Brown. Then they got Nick Bolton at 58, Creed Humphrey at 63. They got Duke tight end Noah Gray at 162, and Trey Smith somehow fell to them at 226. He's a guy that I think.
Yeah, huh? I was going to say their first two picks, Bolton and Humphrey, and then their last pick, Trey Smith, was incredible.
Incredible.
I cannot believe Trey Smith fell that far.
Yeah, so I'm giving them an A+. And the fact that they used that pick to land them a superstar left tackle potentially with Orlando Brown.
Yeah,
I really like the draft overall for them.
So you gave me an A+.
I'm giving it an A+.
Jeez, someone's an easy grader.
I am.
All right. Let's do one more. And then
what was your grade? What was your grade for them?
I just gave me an A.
Yeah, good pick.
Like I said, Bolton should be good in the middle of their defense. Creed Humphrey, some people were saying he could go as early as the first round. And like I said, Trey Smith is just, there's a possibility Trey Smith could play tackle in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's like 6'7". So, and then the fact that they used their first round pick on Orlando Brown. Yeah, that's today. Let's do one more, and then we'll do the Jets.
This one's going to be nice and quick for us. We got Las Vegas Raiders. Alex Leatherwood, superstar tackle at 17. Dumbest pick of the first round? Yes,
I'd have to look at the whole first round.
Sure.
Yeah, the dumbest pick of the first round was Zach Wilson to the Jets.
You're probably not wrong.
But yeah, Leatherwood, that's a D. You could have got him.
You could have got him in the third.
Yeah, you could have got him in the third. Basically, you should have just, if you really wanted, there were better tackles. Eichenberg was still on the board. Wasn't Darrisaw still on the board?
Darrisaw was still on the board. Tevin Jenkins was still on the board.
Yeah, that just seems like a John Gruden looked at that and said, like, oh, his last name is Leatherwood, and he went to Alabama. I have to have him. Moerig, that's a good pick at 43.
Solid pick.
I don't know if he'll be good because I don't know if anyone will ever be good on the Raiders. They get a C+ from me. I like the Moerig pick. Malcolm Kuntz is actually a decent pick too out of Buffalo. I'll give
Divine Diablo was a huge reach for them though at 80.
I have no idea who that is.
He's a Virginia Tech linebacker. He's a huge reach, and they took him. I just love his name too. It's like what are those things called? Like jumbo shrimp, and like they cancel each other out or whatever. I forget what they're called. Anyway, Divine Diablo. I give him a C.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the Jets. That'll be the last one for today.
New York Jets.
What did I give? I gave the Raiders a C as well. All right. So the New York Jets. You can bring them up.
Sure. Obviously, Zach Wilson at 2. Then the trade up for Elijah Vera Tucker at 14. They drafted Elijah Moore, wide receiver from Mississippi, at 34. They used both the third-round picks that they had to trade up for Tucker, so nothing in the third. Michael Carter, the running back out of North Carolina, at 107.
Two Michael Carters.
Then they had Michael Carter, the safety, at 154. Duke. Yeah.
Dude, those guys probably hate each other.
They probably do hate each other, but they're all love on Twitter. I was looking. They also got Auburn safety. Is that Jermaine Sherwood? Sherwood?
Jamie and Sherwood
at 146. Then they got a Pitt corner, Jason Pinnock, at 175. I like that kid, Brandon Eccles, at 200 out of corner. He's a cornerback out of Kentucky. I really like him. And Marshall, I just don't know enough about. Wilson's a huge risk, high risk, high reward. I don't really have a specific grade for him. I would have preferred they traded down and potentially taken Fields. Was my dream scenario. But, you're going to take the pick and roll with it. I'm cool with that. Elijah Vera-Tucker should be a stud lineman for the next couple of years. They're building up the line between him and Becton. We already talked about the Elijah Moore pick. I would not have personally done it, but I'm starting to understand that if you're going to move on from Crowder and the $10 million that he's going to take this year, filling him in with a guy with better route running and who is faster is good enough. And then I like Michael Carter playing with LaMichael Pirine, who we drafted in the 3rd round last year. Carter could potentially be our first 2-down back and then have Pirine come in for 3rd downs and short yardage situations, kind of like how we used Frank Gore last year. I'm going to give him at least a B+. But if Wilson pans out, it can turn into an A or an A+.
Yeah, I'll give him a B+. I don't like Zach Wilson, but if you think he's your guy, you go get him. That's all right. So that gets like a B. I mean, that basically just gets a B+ for me. I mean, I can't hate on it. I don't love it, but whatever. Elijah Vera-Tucker, that was an A pick. Elijah Moore, like I said, they just need to get rid of Crowder first, or else they have 2 of the same wide receiver. I didn't like either one of the North Carolina running backs coming out. Like I said, and I think I told you, it's usually not a good sign when 2 running backs from the same team are that good. And then I know you're going to say Georgia or something, but
no, I was talking about this and I brought up your point to my father, and we were going back and looking at all of the teams that have 1st-round running backs together. And there were 5 total years where there were 2 first-round running backs from the same team. And only 1 year did it ever work out. And it was when Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams came out together in the same year.
Yeah, and that's when they started running the Wildcat with Ronnie Brown. Yeah. All right. Well, so who did we do today? We did the Browns and the Jets. Browns got an A from me, B+ from me. Cincinnati got a C+, Baltimore got a B+, the Colts got a B, Bills an A-, Raiders C, Broncos C+, Texans D, Jaguars and Chiefs A, Lions B+, Falcons A, Bears A, Packers C-, Cowboys B, Cardinals B, Panthers A+. You went Browns A+, Jets B+, Cincinnati C-, Baltimore A, Colts B+, Bills B+, Raiders C, Broncos B-, Texans D-. You really hated the Texans draft.
I hated them. I didn't understand it. Like, you signed Tyrod Taylor, you have Deshaun Watson. Why take a quarterback?
Yeah, I agree. Jaguars and Chiefs, you had A+ along with the Panthers. Cardinals got a B. Cowboys got an A-. Packers C. Excuse me. Yep. Packers C, Bears A+, Falcons A+, Lions B+. So you gave out the worst grade of the day, which was a D-.
Yeah.
So, but you also coupled that with a lot of A+. So
how many did I give out?
A+?
Yeah. Which teams did I give?
5, 6. 6. You gave out 6 A+.
No, then there's no way. Who are they?
Falcons, Bears.
I did not give them an A+. I said A- for them.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Because I didn't love trading up for Fields, but I got it, and then Jenkins was a dub.
All right. The Panthers got an A+. The Browns got an A+ from you.
Yeah.
And then the Jaguars and Chiefs got an A+ as well.
Yeah, that's true. I loved everything they did with both of them. So except the ETN pick, that just didn't make any sense.
I gave out 1 A+ to the Panthers. Clearly, I'm the more consistent one on the show. I'm just kidding. So yeah, we'll be back at it next week sometime to probably go over the rest of these teams, and then maybe Thursday or Wednesday we'll do our power rankings, and then we will go softly into the night. So we'll have some new stuff, some fun stuff. Hopefully that without football, hopefully try to get a few guests.
Might be able to get my football buddy, hopefully, finally, now that season's coming to a close.
Yes, I forgot about that. Season's already closed. Yes, I can probably reach out to a bunch of people. So yeah, basically in the summarization of today's episode, Tom thought everyone in the draft did a great job except for the Texans, and I was just fair with everyone. So
like if you wanted to say like, oh, the Chiefs don't get it, like fine, they'll get an A. Like Jacksonville, I gave an A+ on Trevor Lawrence overall, and I liked Campbell and Walker, so they probably could have an A too. So if you want to switch that out, that's fine. I just was going off the like Trevor one. Yeah, give them an A. I don't like anyone after Campbell. Actually, no, after Walker, Little.
I'm not changing anything. Wait, so fine. You can't? So you really can't read the comments?
No.
Like I told you, there are random people who watch it. Philip Wong said, "My poop is so long, it's falling out of my butt like butter on a stick."
Great.
Yeah, it's our viewers for you. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be back at it probably Monday next week, in the afternoon sometime, and then we'll carry on with the NFL draft grades. I mean, the NFL draft, it only took 3 days, but really it takes up like 2 months or 3 months of the off season. So
100%.
It's good for us. And then free agent takes up the other 4 months, and then the season's the other 5. So
football year round, baby. Yeehaw.
It is the real
love it.
It is the only full-time sport in America. So any last words, Tom?
Go Dogs, baby. You already know. I hope everyone's safe out of my campus because literally I keep like getting updates on Snapchat of people adding me on stories and stuff. And literally there's this one spot on campus. It's called the Knoll. It's basically a bunch of senior houses that are like on either side of a grass patch with sidewalks. And literally they're just knoll crawl where they just go from house to house. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's having a good time. And I just keep getting added on stories and stuff by my friends being like, yo, you're not here. I'm like, yeah, I know. They're like, wait, why aren't you here? I'm like, I had a remote semester. And they're like, oh, yeah. No, it's funny. Bummer. It's funny to me, in all honesty. Like I said, I'm going to go get margs with my family probably.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. You don't know my family. All right. Anyway.